guys, I don't know if you saw outside, but it's snowing right now. I hate to tell you this, but I don't like this snow. I'm so sorry. Do you like the snow?
Personally, boys and girls, I love it on the first day because it's fun and exciting. But after that, it's not very fun.
Well, I hope to see you guys on Sunday, but if not, you can follow along. So let's get started. Okay, today we're going to talk about who to trust and what to trust. Okay, so go ahead and follow along. Emma's going to read some stuff and we're going to try to figure out some things to trust.
Okay, first question. If you needed help from drowning in a pool, what would you trust?
That's a good question. Sunscreen? No. Floaty? The life jacket! That's who I would trust.
Next question. If you needed directions to keep yourself from getting lost, what would you trust?
Okay, let's see here. If I was lost, I would trust the iPhone for the maps. If I was lost, that's what I would follow.
Okay, next question. If you needed to know how to do a math problem, what would you trust?
Ooh, if I needed help with math, that puppy is so cute. But I don't know if I'd trust a puppy if I need help with math. The math teacher. What do you think? Yeah, the math teacher.
I wonder if puppies could actually do math. I taught them. We should try it out.
I'll have to ask my dog.
Yeah, try to ask her. Okay, if you plan to go on vacation, what vehicle would you trust?
I love going on vacation. What vehicle? Ooh, that toy car is super cute. Probably wouldn't get me very far. The paper airplane, that's so funny. The red car.
Yeah.
The red car.
Sadly,
One more.
if you wanted to know more about God, what would you trust?
If I wanted to know more about God, what would I trust? Boys and girls, what do you think?
That's a good question.
You're right. The Bible. If I wanted to know more about God, I would choose the Bible. Let me see. Let's show them really quick. There's a person reading some homework in the Bible. You think I'm right? Yes, the Bible. Okay, Emma, go ahead and tell them what they're going to learn today.
I'm going to read a short little paragraph really quick. Some of the answers seemed obvious, but did you know that some people every day make wrong choices and who or what to trust? They look in all the wrong places, so they find the wrong answer. We can completely trust God. He will always do what He says He will do. Today we are going to learn about a man named Joseph and his trust in God. Some really bad things happened to Joseph, but he continued to believe in God would guide him. We'll learn more reasons why we can trust God to be in control of us.
So that's what we're learning today. We hope to see you on Sunday at Sunday school, and if not, we'll see you next week. Good night.
Good morning, class.
Good morning, class, and good morning, Deb. So
Good morning.
what are we going to learn about today?
More about Abraham's family. Can you remember what we learned so far?
Well, yes. I remember that God called Abraham out of the country he was living and said he should go to a new land that God would show him. And he also promised Abraham that he'd have many descendants, children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, da-da-da-da-da. And then God blessed Abraham and Sarah with a son.
And his name was Isaac.
Yes, and even though Abraham and Sarah were really old, God still did that. And then when Isaac grew up, he had two sons.
And their names were Jacob and Esau, right?
Right.
They were Abraham's grandsons.
Yes, they were Abraham's grandsons, right. But remember, Jacob cheated Esau out of the blessing and out of the birthright. And then Jacob had to run away because Esau was so mad that he wanted to kill him.
But God changed Jacob's heart so they could go home, and Esau forgave him.
And that's where we'll start our lesson today.
All righty.
So, who's your friend?
This is Mrs. Socks, and she's going to help us with our lesson today.
Great. Well, Jacob had 12 sons: Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, Asher, Zebulun, Joseph, and Benjamin. One day the brothers were tending sheep together But Joseph gave a bad report about the others to their father.
Oh, no!
Do you think that made the brothers happy?
No, of course not. They didn't like it at all.
Yes, and to make matters worse, their father loved Joseph most and gave him a special colorful coat. Do you remember what happened when Isaac and Rebekah chose favorites among Esau and Isaac?
It didn't go so well for those two brothers.
And it's not going to go so well with Joseph and his brothers either. Joseph's brothers hated him and could not even speak a kind word to him.
Oh, no!
When Joseph had a dream one night and he told his brothers about it, he told them, "Listen to this dream that I had. We were tying up bundles of grain, and my bundle stood upright while yours bowed to it." His brothers answered, "So, you think you'll rule over us?" And they hated him even more.
Oh, no!
Joseph had another dream, and again he told his brothers about it. "Behold, the sun, moon, and 11 stars bowed down to me." When he told this to his father Isaac, Isaac said, "Shall I, your mother, and your brothers bow down to you?" All this made Joseph's brothers even more jealous. One day Jacob sent Joseph to check on his brothers and bring back a report. Joseph found his brothers, and when they saw Joseph, they plotted to kill him. "Let's kill him and throw his body into a pit. We'll say that a wild animal killed him. We'll see what will become of his dreams then."
Hiss!
Reuben, the oldest, did not want to kill Joseph.
Yay!
He told the brothers, "Let's not kill him, let's just throw him in the pit." His plan was later to rescue Joseph and return him safely to the home. When Joseph approached his brothers, they ripped off his beautiful coat and threw him into the empty pit.
Oh, no!
Just as they sat down to eat, they looked up and there was a caravan of Ishmaelite traders with their camels carrying spices to Egypt. This gave Judah an idea. "What good will it do if we kill him? He's our brother. Instead, let's sell him to those Ishmaelite traders." So they pulled Joseph out of the pit and sold him for 20 pieces of silver. Joseph was taken away to Egypt.
Oh, no! Oh, no!
Later, Reuben returned to the pit and saw that Joseph was gone.
Oh, no!
He was so upset that he tore his clothes, and he went back to his brothers and said, "Joseph is gone. What will we do now?" The brothers killed a goat, dipped Joseph's robe in the blood, and took it to their father. They lied and said, "We found this coat. Do you know if it is your son's or not?" Jacob recognized the robe and assumed that the wild animals had killed Joseph. He wept and mourned for a long time and refused to be comforted. Meanwhile, the traders arrived in Egypt, and Joseph was sold as a slave to an officer of Pharaoh named Potiphar.
Oh, no!
Potiphar noticed that God was with Joseph, so he put him in charge of his entire household and property.
Oh, no, but yay!
From that day, Joseph was put in charge. God blessed Potiphar's household.
Yay!
Joseph still trusted God even though all these bad things had happened to him. God was still with Joseph and helped him succeed in everything.
Yay!
So God was faithful to Joseph, and he was still keeping the promise that he had originally made to Abraham, wasn't he?
Yes, he was.
We do have a wonderful God.
We do. And that's our story for today.
Yeah.
God's story, Joseph. So part of God's story is about a guy named Joseph, and it begins like this. Once there was a guy named Joseph who had 10 older brothers and one younger one. When Joe was a boy, he was his dad's favorite. In fact, his dad liked him so much better than his brothers that he gave Joe a special gift to prove it. You can imagine this made his brothers jealous. And Joe only made things worse. He told his brothers about dreams he had where he was ruling over them. Well, this made Joe's brothers furious. One day they were working and saw Joe coming. They said, "Here comes that dreamer." They threw Joe into a dark pit. They might have left him there forever, but they met some men traveling from Egypt and sold Joe to them as a servant instead. They thought that was slightly nicer than leaving him in a pit. Then they went home and told their father Joe had been killed by a wild animal. This broke their dad's heart. Kids, these brothers were really bad news. Selling a sibling is never a good idea. ever. But the Bible says the Lord was with Joe. When Joe was a servant, he worked for a really important rich guy named Potiphar. And Potiphar liked Joe so much, he put him in charge of the whole house. Joe was happy until one day he was blamed for something he didn't do, and Potiphar sent him straight to jail. Well, God was still with Joe, even in prison. The guard decided he liked Joe so much, he put him in charge of all the other prisoners. Then God gave Joe special knowledge about dreams. When two prisoners had dreams, Joe knew what they meant, so he told them. 2 years later, Egypt's ruler called Pharaoh had a dream, and nobody knew what it meant. But by now, one of the two prisoners Joe had helped was out of jail and working for Pharaoh. He told Pharaoh about Joe, and God helped Joe figure out what Pharaoh's dream meant. But Pharaoh's dream was really more of a nightmare. It meant that everybody in Egypt would have food for 7 years, then be hungry for 7 years. Joe told Pharaoh the only way to survive was to store food during the 7 good years. Well, Pharaoh thought Joe's idea was brilliant. He put him in charge. During the 7 hungry years, nobody could eat without getting food from Joe. He was like a human vending machine. Well, remember how Joe had 11 brothers? Like everybody else, they had to get food from Joe. And when they came, they didn't even recognize their brother. But Joe knew who they were. He secretly tested them to see if they changed. After all, they did throw him in a pit and sell him. Finally, he couldn't hide who he was from his brothers anymore. He told everyone to leave the room because he was about to cry. After sobbing for a few minutes, he told them, "I'm your brother Joseph. I'm the one you sold." The brothers couldn't believe it. They had hurt Joe, but God had taken care of him during the good times and the bad. Even with everything they had done to Joe, he forgave them because he was willing to follow God, even when it was hard. Joe told them, "You planned to harm me, but God planned it for good." And God used Joe to save many lives, including the family that was part of God's special rescue plan. And that's the story of Joseph. So in case you missed it, here's the quick version. Joe was his dad's favorite. His brothers sold him. Potiphar put Joe in charge. Joe was sent to jail. The guard put Joe in charge. Pharaoh had a bad dream. Joe told him what it meant. Pharaoh put Joe in charge. Joe's brothers had to come to him for food. Joe forgave them. This was part of God's rescue plan. And that's a part of God's story.
Joseph had big troubles, but God was with Joseph and blessed him. God used Joseph to bless others as well, including his brothers. They betrayed Joseph and sold him as a slave. But God took this terrible thing and used Joseph to bless many, feeding thousands during a famine, forgiving his brothers, saving his family, and more. Joseph told his brothers, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good, to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives." Our memory verse today reminds us that God works good in our situations, even when bad things happen.
Everyone, today we're doing a treasure hunt for God's Word. Can you help us on this journey? Oh no, we need to get down this hill. Do you know a way that we can get down?
Well, what about the sled?
We can use the sleds! Great idea, Michaela!
I'm going to red. I don't think that is not a good idea.
With God, we can do anything, can't we, Michaela?
Yep.
Now, we just gotta find the Bible verse. Michaela, could you lead the way? Where can it be? Oh, it's right here. You see it? We found it! Okay. What does it say?
M-A-O-S-O-N.
Okay. We know that in all things, God works for the good of those who love Him. Okay, let's say it together. We know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him. Wow, boys and girls, that's really inspiring. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend.